Today we're going to focus on the ROI of Facebook. We're going to look at two parts. Facebook as a marketing channel, and we all know that it may be a channel, but it doesn't necessarily cannibalize everything else. And then we'll look at a quantification. The quantification has math in it. I'm really sorry, but I know you're media people, so you understand what metrics are and how they work. Facebook is a marketing channel. As I mentioned, there are 500 million active users, which is, for those of you keeping score at home, 500 million. It's a big number. There's a better penetration of Facebook than almost any other media other than general broadcast television. Half of the active users on Facebook are on Facebook every day. So we have a frequency of they're looking at Facebook, they're looking at your ads, they're looking at your fan page. Average user has 130 friends. I think we need to recognize, and a lot of you guys are younger, but the older definition of a friend had a lot more intensity. There was a lot more seriousness about a friendship. By this terminology, by the description of what it does, it's closer to an acquaintance. When you work with older audiences, when you work with older people, recognize that if you're advertising to them, you need to slightly adjust your definition of friend. For us, friend may be a Facebook friend, and a Facebook friend is the same person who helped you move 3 times and was at your wedding, or it could be just someone that you never met that you happen to have on Facebook. When you get to an older audience, your older audience is automatically going to think of the person that helped you move and was at your wedding. So you need to be a little cautious in how you define your friend. People spend over 500 billion minutes per month on Facebook. That's a whole lot of eyes on your advertising. That's a whole lot of eyes on your fan page. And by the way, I'm assuming that everybody knows what a fan page is. Do you know what a fan page is, Mr. I never opened?
Yeah, I know about
Okay.
Facebook.
Okay. So everybody knows what a fan page is. Click, it says, okay, we got it. Facebook fans are roughly a third of people who are on Facebook, and a third of 500 million is 165 million fans. Now, if you happen to be aware, the population of the United States is 300 million people. Now, this isn't just for the United States that Facebook is getting these numbers, but there are a whole lot of fans out there, and fans mean they like a company, they like a group. If you look at why people become Facebook fans, why they are fans, the number one is social, to let my friends know what products I support. After that, you look at tangible returns, to receive coupons, to stay current, to learn more about company and organizations, and then we come back to, again, a social meeting, to meet with people who have similar interests to mine. Now, I want to hear shout-outs from the audience here. What is the most effective way to influence a person to buy something?
Word of mouth. Word of mouth.
Anybody else? I pegged it dead on. Word of mouth is the most effective. We don't have to go very far. Jim, thank you.
Sorry.
I'll cut you a check. Word of mouth is the most effective influencer of persuading someone to make a decision. And it also comes that if you're a Facebook friend with whom you are familiar, and that Facebook friend recommends, it has great value and great influence on a purchase. Are my competitors using social media? This is the opportunity for you to go to your boss and say, hey, our competitors are doing this, we have to do it at least to keep up with them. So we're looking at companies effectively and intentionally using social media, in this case, Facebook. Companies in North America who have acquired a customer, this is B2B and B2C, 2/3 in B2C. 2/3 of companies using B2C on Facebook have gotten a customer. What's Facebook cost? A little bit of time. This is very, very important to recognize. Your competitors are using this tool to get customers, and it's working for them. Are they planning, are your competitors planning on using it? At least a quarter to a third, well, a quarter in 2009, a third in 2010, are planning on moving to Facebook. I want to step into a study that was done, and we're going to slow down a little bit because I don't want to just run through these numbers so that we understand where these values are coming from, what's happening with this. SynCaps and with a company called HotSpecs did a survey. Now it's a bit of an unorthodox survey, however it was very effective in finding the information they needed. They surveyed 4,000 people who are working with Facebook to understand, who are actually Facebook users, to understand the nitty-gritty of what it's like to be a fan. And that was the sole purpose of the survey. So we get kind of fine in detail here. Now they only looked at 20 user brands. They didn't look at every brand. They didn't say, oh, what brand do you use? They looked at 20 brands. Facebook fans, when it comes to spending, if they're a fan, on average of the group of 20 companies they looked at, they spend $71 and change more than non-fans. What does this mean? If you're on Facebook and you have fans, fans are more dedicated to you, and we'll go through some of their loyalty and some other numbers. But if you have a fan and someone has taken the time to follow your company, they will very probably spend more money on what you have to offer. I know there's some people here from schools, EDMC, Shadyside, West Virginia. It's your spending there is a lot harder to quantify, but the idea is that in general, a Facebook fan is going to spend more money. In the case of schools, it may mean they take additional classes, they buy something from the bookstore. There was someone, real estate company? Yeah. Whether they spend $50,000 or $60,000 could be the difference for you. And again, we'll look at quantification a little bit later on. McDonald's saw the largest variability in their fans. Those fans spend double the amount whenever they're a fan. They spend close to $160. Oreo cookies was the least, but let's keep in mind, a Facebook fan who spends $28 more than the average customer, that's $28 more just for using Facebook. Loyalty. This is the thing that is a bit of an intangible. Gesundheit. Once more you get to go home. It's a bit of an intangible because it's hard to measure. However, when looking at loyalty, on average, Facebook fans are 28% more likely to continue using a brand than non-fan consumers. Obviously, that means fans are more loyal. Loyalty can convert to a whole lot more things. For those of you with the schools, maybe the brother goes to school. For your real estate investment, that may mean they come back for a second round. Excuse me. The idea is that if they're following you, if you can identify them, if you can get them to click that link that says, I am a fan, you will have a more dedicated consumer whom you can identify. You can target communications with them through other avenues. You can interface with them differently because you know they have different characteristics. They're a different segment. Adidas had the highest loyalty of fans and non-fans, 42%, which was incredibly high. And Secret deodorant, don't ask me why that was included, but they had the lowest level of loyalty. Now, there are some theories on that. Don't know who has a marketing background, but one of the considerations with something like deodorant is there are a lot of substitutes. While there are also a lot of substitutes for Adidas, deodorant is a very low-cost item, and that can often affect a level of loyalty. The cost of switching is very low. Likely to recommend. This is the thing that Jim got correct, and I got to remember that check for you. The thing about likely to recommend is you are looking for these people. Who's familiar with viral marketing? Show me hands, show of hands. Okay, we all know about viral marketing. We're looking for sneezers. We want people to sneeze and spread the virus of our products. We want other people to buy our products. We want other people to buy our products and then tell the world about it and become our advertisers. When it comes to the push marketing side, everybody familiar with push marketing? Okay. When it comes to that side, getting these people to do the work for us and effectively for us is the thing. And again, because they're the ones that are by word of mouth talking to someone else, they're the ones that are likely to recommend. Now, we have 68% of Facebook fans indicated they are very likely to recommend a product across the 20 top leading brands, which is again the 20 we're talking about, compared to 30% for non-fans. That's 2.5 times more likely to become a fan. to recommend if they're a fan. That means they are dedicated to you. They are in your pocket. They are willing to do things for you. Affinity. 81% of fans said they feel connection or empathy with the brand. Now that's higher than loyalty, but it's still, they have a great affinity for the product. 87% said they felt warmth, gratitude, happy or satisfied compared to 49% of fans. So we have almost a full double of what their empathy is. Yes?
Who is the non-fans? I'm just, sorry, I just realized you're talking about
Okay.
people who are non-fans. Are these people who use the product but did not sign up for Facebook, or are these just general population?
Facebook fans who may have or showed some interest in the product, in that 20 brand. So it's hard to get their level of interest, but we had, the survey looked at some interest in the product.
But they didn't sign up to be a fan.
But they didn't click the button to become
Okay.
a fan.
Okay.
Right. So we have someone, and you can, and again, the power of this is incredible, because now we know that when we look at the two segments, and for right now we'll just make it a black and white A-B right here. We have a fan and we have a non-fan. We know that the fan has great affinity for the product. They have great loyalty for the product. They have a proclivity to spend much more money on the product versus the non-fan.
Right. I just didn't know if
No, it's
the
quite all right.
non-fan was a random person or how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you picked a random person, they may have never even used the product
Right,
before.
right.
So I didn't know who the non-fan was.
Yeah, they were a Facebook user and they had shown some interest in that product.
Okay.
Okay? Now the total value, and this is one of those studies, and I don't want to get into the great detail of how they evaluated this because I want to leave lots of time for questions. But in their spends, what they looked at was how much money did you spend on the product, when was the last time you bought the product. It was a rather extensive survey, and again, an out of the ordinary survey because of the duration, because of the intention, because of the intensity. So when they ran this, it was very specific, and you normally can't get this level of detail. First thing on the spend, again, we find that the value of a fan book on average for these 4,000 people who looked at these 20 brands, if they were a fan, it was of $71.84 of value for spend for that brand. If you look at the loyalty, and again, loyalty is hard to follow, but the value of the loyalty on average for this survey was $43 and change. Recommendations, $13. Earned media value, which is how much they're of value in spreading the word and getting other media supported. Cost of fan acquisition. Now, this is a negative because it's a cost, and I'll get into this in the next example. The cost of fan acquisition was 47 cents a fan. That was, they didn't elaborate in great detail on how they got that, but it was primarily a blogger or an advertisement on Facebook. That cost is ridiculously minimal. If I remember correctly, that's something close to the cost of a postage stamp. Now, if you add those numbers together, you get a Facebook fan value on average for these 20 brands of $136. That's what a Facebook fan is worth. Now, each and every one of you, unless you're working for the same company, your calculations will vary, like your mileage will vary. And we're going to look at a calculation next, and then after that we'll have questions. But what I've shown you here is why a Facebook fan is different and the value of a Facebook fan.